Good evening and welcome to Level 3 Deloitte Partnership event. Deloitte is one of the corporate partners at Level 3. For some of you who are new to the session and don't know Level 3, we are a co-working space in partnership with Unilever Foundry. We create communities of interest, and we have over 65 startups sitting with us and 8 corporate partners, and we have some amazing ecosystem partners, one of them being Myro and She Loves Data, and Yana will be joining us later. This session is quite timely apt, and also it came about because we were having a conversation with the Deloitte team, and Durrah was working on this paper, and we said, actually, it would be nice to talk about future of work. Like, it's not a new topic. I'm sure you've heard tons of it, but I think the one key thing that you would probably take back from this session today is that it's reinstating the fact that you need to continue to keep learning, and how our skills are changing, and how we incorporate technology and not fear technology. And that is what the most interesting thing is to me. And I'm sure you will find value in that. So just a couple of house rules. Please keep it very interactive. Say hello to us in chat, have your comments in chat. Post your questions in Q&A, and as we go around, Durrah and Yana would keep looking at the questions and respond to them as many as they can. Whatever questions we can't, we will take them offline, and we will try and address it in our follow-up thank you email to you. If during the course you would want to know a little bit more about Level 3, please ping me. I will drop my email, so you can always contact me there. Also, if you are a startup, especially a tech startup, please do connect. We would love to collaborate and talk to you more. Now over to Durrah.
Thank you so much, Upma, for that very kind introduction. Just give me a second while I bring up my slides, and let me know if you can actually see those slides.
Yep, it's working.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Level 3. Thank you for inviting me here again. Good evening, everyone. My name is Durrah Hamdan, and I'm actually from Deloitte Consulting, Future of Work and Collective Intelligence team. I am proud to have led our Future of Work Center of Excellence Asset Development, and now my focus is on activating the future of work in Asia Pacific. I actually sit at the intersection of human and technology collaboration, and I'm actually fortunate enough to be able to see across multiple geographies and identify some of the key trends, some of the views as well as coming up, to see how the world has changed amidst this COVID-19 pandemic as well, where we do see some of the companies struggling, while some of the companies we have seen is actually taking this as an opportunity to deep dive into the future of work. Just to get us in the future of work frame of mind, I'd like you to share with me, what does the future of work means to you? I guess there's a poll coming up, as well as you can actually use the chat function as well, if you don't mind. And just one word, what do you think about what future of work means? Just don't overthink it. Just one word would be great if you can share with us. See some answers. There's like some answers on AI, robots, collaboration, technology. You can pick and choose one of those. Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, I see AI, robots. There is a technical error. Oh, something about technical error. There's pliability as well. Oh, so many things, like very interesting, how to say that, very interesting insights. It's pretty much aligned to what I've actually seen across in the last few years. Actually, what we've also been seeing is a lot about collaboration, a lot about right now in terms of like virtual work as well, is also being part of future of work, which is really, really great. So, but at Deloitte, what we believe that the future of work is actually about harnessing the collective intelligence of humans working productively with technology. And is the word productively, which I believe is where the magic and the opportunity of future of work lies, that intersection where technology meets humanity. And it actually will act as an accelerator towards reversing the declining productivity that we are seeing right now from what is also happening globally as well. And apart from that, we also need to think about this at the same time as how the new realities of work are creating an unprecedented rate of change in the workplace, completely revolutionizing the way that we work, the way that we live, and the way that we think. And it's all happening right now. Actually, just prior to COVID-19 going global, we had launched our Deloitte Trends report, and the results were actually quite telling from the survey respondents. We realized that only 12% of our survey respondents are primarily using artificial intelligence to replace workers, while 59% are already or planning to integrate AI into the design of jobs, but only 7% are ready to do this. There's a lot of organizations are not able to harness that data, that power, and that insights of their workforce. And it's also telling because we only have about 11% of our respondents mentioning that they are producing live workforce insights. And this can be due to the fact that they just do not have the human capabilities inside, as well as like maybe the data inside. But talking about human capabilities, our data also shows that 53% of respondents actually believe that between 50 to 100% of their workforce will require new skills and capabilities, but only 16% expect to increase the investment to improve the capabilities of their workforce in this area. And this is coming from the C-suite and everything else. But what is important when we are actually thinking about these three dimensions of work, workforce, and workplace is that they are actually each acting as a lever, as there are trade-offs to be made across each one of them. For example, just because there is work that could be automated doesn't mean that it should be automated. It may be contrary to brand, culture, and also need to think about the impact to the talent currently actually doing the work. Just because there may be a crowd that could help us solve a challenging problem doesn't mean we'll be able to tap into that crowdsourcing, and actually due to the risk in IP and the likes of it as well. So we believe the future of work is all about understanding those trade-offs and thinking in the new and different ways about how we can harness the very best of what our human talent can do and combine that with our extraordinary capabilities of technology in order to accelerate our journey to the future. Because the future of work is actually all about speed. We need to think big, we need to start small, and we need to move fast, very, very fast. All right. So what is becoming quite clear to us is that with the proliferation of technology, the evolving demographics of workforce, the changing nature of careers and jobs, and the impact of COVID on the new world of work, it is human capabilities that have become the new currency of work. Those human capabilities that are required to enable people to work productively with technology, the adaptability, the resilience, intuition, all of those things that robots and smart machines, they're just not capable of doing alone and actually need human talent to bring to get the work to be done. And we therefore see the future workforce being about purple superpowers. If you think about the red skills being those technical and analytical skills, and the blue skills being those business and communication skills, then the purple superpowers are the human capabilities that sit at their intersection, and they are the ones to bring the purple skills. This is the ones to bring the purple skills to the work. And this is the human capabilities that we often hear referred to sometimes as digital skills. And those are like creativity, looking beyond, being humble, asking new bold question, being creative in terms of your answers, even like you're asking the type of question, being curious about new technologies, new ways of working, just curious about how you can actually improve processes better, having a great imagination of like trying to reimagine the ways that you are working within your organization, how to improve them, reimagine like what are the values that you can bring to your organization as well, having empathy, understanding the organization, like walk in the shoe of others, what are some of the problems that they are facing, and having that courage to actually take the first step to actually towards getting into the flow of the future of work. But all of this, one of the most important human capabilities, and I think Umar actually had stated is earlier, is about learning how to learn. Yeah. So this is a very important thing, and I think even within Deloitte, even for myself, I believe that learning how to learn is always very important. If some of you do not know, I'm actually a chemical engineer by training. I literally didn't even start in the areas of artificial intelligence. I just started learning in towards my job and trying to achieve one step at a time. And this is where I sort of end up having that the purple abilities as well. Okay, so one of the powerful approach to all of this that we are starting to see also emerge is that around opportunity marketplaces, where organizations are embracing the concept of agency and shifting from the question of how can we make better and smarter investment in people to the question, how can we actually support people in making better, smarter investments in themselves, empowering workers with access to opportunities, using AI-powered platform to match workers with short-term projects, stretch assignments, side gigs, and full-time roles and mentors, just to develop that, that purple skills, the multiple skills that we actually need in the future as well. And Schneider Electric is a great example of doing something really good in this space. And they actually have highlighted that the power of a Persian marketplace is the wealth of the data that they actually generate about their worker skills and the interests and preferences as well. They ensure explicit and measurable alignment between their internal opportunities and Schneider's broader strategic aspirations as well. Um, Consistent with other research that we have done through creating an opportunity marketplace, Schneider also have found that 50% of their workers believe that they need to leave the organization to access the opportunities that they are looking for. And the opportunity marketplace is unlocking that connectivity between worker capabilities and ambitions and the company's operational and strategic aspiration, with the worker empowered with access and visibility to the right opportunities at the right time for them. So it's about right opportunity at the right time. You can actually even use your own internal employees to actually get a job done as well, while developing them at the same time. So let's just take a moment to reflect on what actually all of this means for all of us here and the role that we could or should be playing. And I just want actually to mention two data points that might be relevant to this in particular. The first one is that we found in studies that the skills and capabilities that we need to do our work are at times only remaining relevant for as little as 2 to 3 years. And secondly, that in order for us to keep up with those skills and capability requirements, we need as individuals to engage in around 100 days of learning every year. Yes, 100 days every year. So now think about what that means. That means that we can no longer just step out of our daily flow of work to go like for the training, education. We must actually learn through our work, learn in the flow of work, learning in the flow of life, and learn to learn again. Okay, take a moment to reflect on what all this means again for all of us here and the role that we could or should be playing. We believe that with human capabilities as a new currency of work, this means that we also need businesses, governments working together to solve for the skills gaps, education and employment, so that individual workers are like ourselves are empowered to reinvent ourselves and keep ourselves relevant, and also apart from that, employers can no longer be just the passive recipients of ready to go trained qualified talent, because I guess there's not enough people with the skills that they might be looking for as well. And actually, all of this was already trending and happening globally before COVID hit us. Yeah. So when COVID hit us, we literally see our lives, our work change overnight. I think this quote that we have over here on the screen so perfectly articulates the world of work we are living in right now. With the COVID situation creating almost a time machine into the future of work, transforming what might have taken us a decade to accomplish and now just taking just weeks and months. And I believe this is also our moment to step up and to turn this disruption into a competitive edge as well. In this great experiment of working from home, um, you can see globally the data points that we had collected with regards to COVID, and you can see that even it is impacting into the entire, entire global economies. With the US, we see that some good thing coming from the US is that employee engagement were at its highest level for remote employees. And even in Japan, where I'm actually focusing on right now, where traditionally employees and employers are actually much more hesitant about remote work. 63% of the Japanese workers will like to continue to work remotely. Yeah, these numbers are almost impossible for us to see, and will have taken us a decade to actually reach this kind of maturity. But we're actually seeing this shift towards a permanent remote work situation coming in from different organizations, and it's actually happening right now in the lives of companies such as Twitter, who is now allowing its employees to permanently work from home. Facebook having half of their workforce be able to work remotely as well as maybe Hewlett Packard only expecting up to 50% of their employees to only come back after after like in this COVID even alleviate. So they're expecting a lot of people to actually work from home as well. All right. So we are also seeing a lot of organization taking this opportunity to sort of accelerate their transformation that they've been planning maybe to complete in a few years to be completed almost like immediately into the future work, where is some of the common questions that we are hearing comes from like infrastructure, leadership type of question, culture, as well as policy change management as well. And some of the questions are like, how do our strategic and customer priorities need to change? How do we reimagine work to meet these priorities given the new dynamics of work? How do you even create the culture of virtual and embed in your organization for the long term? And how do leaders maintain connections and purpose for people and teams to continue being productive? And how should they actually manage these teams virtually as well? And for organizations who are struggling, I believe this is the time for us to really sharpen our tool sets, our strategies, to reimagine what our organization can be like by asking ourselves such questions as like, what is the art of the possible for my organization? How can I define the future of work vision for my business? How do I take this market disruption from into a competitive advantage and also future-proof my businesses and careers of my people at the same time? How can I leverage on the technologies and the human capabilities as well in this kind of climate so that I also am able to future-proof my business? How do I leverage intelligent machines? And also at the same time, how do I create almost like a living hybrid workplace that elevates the human experience across the entire organization? This crisis actually presents a unique opportunity for organization that can overcome the instinct of treating human and machines on parallel paths to instead build connections between these two and actually build a path forward where one can nurture growth and innovation in the weeks, months, and years to come. By embedding almost a human-centered approach where organizations are also looking at embracing and embedding purpose, potential, and perspective, we will have organizations create the power to recover and shape its future years. For example, purpose. Purpose, I think we've heard a lot of this in the market. It's about embedding meaning into every aspect of work every single day. We can consider, for instance, how workers at some consumer product companies have found meaning and inspiration in their jobs as their company increased production, or in some cases, they pivoted to start developing disinfectants and sanitizers. People want to contribute to their organizations when they understand how their unique talents, strengths, and contribution are making an impact on larger goals. Also, companies can also take this opportunity to embed purpose into each individual worker to strengthen their belonging and connectivity across the organization. And you can see this in companies such as like Nike, LV, like handbag maker. They also started making like face masks also, and like hand sanitizers as well. Razer Singapore as well. They were in the news recently, and they've contributed into the mask development in Singapore as well, and many more as well. And these companies, they're taking what as a crisis, as an opportunity for them to market their products, to pivot, to make sure that their employees are still remaining employed. Yeah. So next, potential is about how an organization can be designed and be organized to maximize what humans are capable of thinking, creating, and doing in a world of machines. So organizations should also start evolving their thinking about technology from taking a purely substitution view, meaning that replacing human with technology, to actually using technology as an accelerator, as the augmentator, and also the collaboration partner as well, and as a stepping stone. And this will allow them to almost create like super teams where like not only do we have like humans, where we have technologies working hand in hand together. This view can allow organizations to not only streamline its costs, but to also create value and ultimately provide meaning to the workforce as a whole as well. For perspective for us means encouraging and embracing future orientation and asking just not how to optimize for today, but also how to create disproportionate value for tomorrow. And for example, organizations should be taking the advantage of the power of technology to collect workforce insights by pulling together quick key questions that they need to be asking to gain the real-time workforce insight as well. This is the time for organizations to also challenge themselves and also ask themselves whether they've been asking the right questions all along, and whether they actually have the governance and processes in place to enable them to use the data to truly sense what is happening across the organization and workforce as well. Okay. All right. And I guess like as you reflect on this and your role, I'd like you to think about, I guess right now, one action, what could be that one action that you would take? Thinking about all the data that you had, like even pre-COVID, the trends, that's, I mean, the learning, like learning how to learn, and even like what COVID is challenging us in. What would one action be for you right now? If there's a poll up here, if you can put up and poll the answers, or I think there's also a like the chat function as well. Yeah. Typically, I do see a lot of people saying that they want to start to learn about new technologies. They want to try to leverage on the new technologies. They want to speak to their boss about future of work and see how they can actually, feel, learn more about future of work, how they can actually bring it into the organization as well. Yeah. Oh, I can't see the votes though, by the way, in the polls. Yeah, I think that's fine. All right. No worries. Okay. Oh, so 57% say they will be like lifelong learning, 36% says new technologies, learn new human technology because human software doesn't upgrade. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty cool answer actually, Lisa, about learning new human technology. Yeah, because we definitely don't upgrade overnight as well. Yeah, honestly, one of the key things that for me, for myself, is also to try to speak to the ecosystem, like partners such as Level 3 as well, who are doing great jobs. They also have like papers as well, just to help connect the dots about how we can leverage this crisis moving forward as well. Okay. Okay. Right. Well, very amazing answers anyway. Oh, building the digital and data literacy. Yes, that's very important to Yana. Thank you so much. It's really cool. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, next, I actually would like to leave you with this important message about not worrying so much about remote work. It's actually here to sort of stay, but also one more important message about the future of work. And it's in fact, it's just so much more than just opportunity. It's about imperative. Remember that notion of survival where we must actually respond and continue to adapt to the new realities. We also must think in new and different ways about how we are harnessing the best of what human talent can do and bring that together with the extraordinary capabilities that the exponential technologies bring as well. You must be making those shifts towards future readiness, both as an individual and as a business, to keep us relevant, to keep us competitive in today's digital age post-COVID. And with that, I actually would like to thank everyone, and I look forward to any questions that you may have on rethinking the work in the future of work. And I'll actually hand it back over to our host today. Thank you.
Thanks, Durrah. So would you now conduct the Q&A between you and Yana?
Yes, I think between Yana and I, we talked and we wanted to have like almost like a discussion between us, and we would love to hear some questions or some like sharing from the participants as well on how how they feel about returning to work in the future of work and how we can actually help them as well. So, Yana, do you want to start first?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually like this question, this answer here. Bring out human creativity and tapping fully, into people's brilliance. And I think this is something that is up and coming. And so a little bit about me, so you guys get some background. I am running a tech startup here in Singapore that is called Mero. We do customer data platform, so we work with data all the time. And that's why I wrote that digital and data literacy is important, not only to us internally, but for everyone out there, because we talk to business people. And today, the discussions about business are never excluding technologies and data. So that's very important to build it up. And, referring to what Sari wrote here is that sometimes when we are hiring today, we actually have a job descriptions, but when we are interviewing people, we are looking at their unique capabilities to understand where they're coming from. Outside of the tech startup, I'm as well running a nonprofit community or activity that is called She Loves Data, where we empower women with the knowledge of data literacy and digital literacy in 12 countries around the world. And it started by the understanding 3-4 years ago that data and tech is here to stay. And it's not only for people in IT and tech, everyone needs to have that. And what was interesting was that we basically are talking to people that come with a very different backgrounds, and they have a different education, they have a different a cultural background, they come from different industry, and then they learn tech and data, and they try to look for jobs. And this is fantastic because, as you, Durrah, mentioned those purple skills, this is exactly what we are looking at, because the data has to be relevant to the business strategy and understanding of how it can help and support, businesses out there. And what is often happening now is that we're taking the job descriptions when we are hiring people, and we are looking at the unique capabilities of the people that we are choosing who will join us. And we create almost new positions based on to letting people shine of course, within a certain structure of what we do, but giving them a possibility to do things that that has a purpose for them, where they can learn new things, where we give them an opportunity to grow in a completely different way and kind of change the direction of, you know, their career path. And I think this is important. I think this flexibility in hiring and letting people not really fit within a certain structure will be as well very important as we go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, actually, we do have like I want to continue this question, discussion further. But I believe we have some questions right now from our attendees. Like maybe we can actually answer it together as well, or you can answer one, I can answer one. So the first one is like, do you think firms or organizations will be investing more on people and culture and how they should be adopting technologies, or do you think people will adopt technologies naturally? Yeah.
That's, I think it has to come and be supported on both sides. I think the way we are using iPhones and smartphones today is a completely different way how we used phones 10 years ago, and everyone adopted, right? Because if you don't, you are actually losing an opportunity to be relevant in the future. And I think this is important. I think the word relevant is very important. I think we need to ask ourselves, how do we stay relevant in the future? What kind of actions and decisions we need to take today in upskilling ourselves to actually be able to have meaningful jobs in the future? So that's the one thing. And I think organizations are realizing this as well. And they are, you know, I see with Mero, you know, when we are implementing the customer data platforms for marketers, digital marketers, organizations going through digital transformations, we often talk about upskilling of the workforce. How do you actually make sure as an organization to keep your workforce on the level of the fast moving evolution of technology? And this is super important. So I see organizations like DBS or AXA Insurance, they went through a huge upskilling efforts of their workforce where they were teaching people data visualization or some basing SQL or Python coding to just get a certain logical thinking into their workforce so people can talk about technology no matter what their position is. And I think we will see this more and more. And another part with this purple skill set, what I really like this setup is that it's going to be important to bridge the technology and the people that are techies, the nerds, and then the business. And I think between these two, crowds will be enormous, or is now enormous, opportunity for new positions with a completely new skill set, the purple skill set, to bridge the business and the tech part of the not only organization but even communication, the world out there. So this is interesting. I've seen job positions like marketing science, marketing technologies, marketing operations, people coming up with this dual skill set. Those will be people to get jobs, and they will be very wanted.
Yeah, yes, I agree also. I think like that's also what we are sort of looking for as well. I guess within Deloitte, I think at least in my future of work team, they're always constantly looking for people who are able to not just bring that technology frontier, but also that the business side as well. And I think like a lot of people are actually itching to actually take more technology products because they know it can help them be productive. Because technology, for example, the iPhone is a use of WhatsApp, and it has been around for a long time. And we are always, as individuals, we are always the first one to actually adopt these technologies. When you compare it to like businesses, compare it to like governments and even policymakers, right? So I think there is actually a need and a gap there almost that I guess right now a lot of organizations are picking up as well. So moving on, I think like we have a next question. Okay, this one is really interesting. Like, how do we actually ensure motivation for our staff working remotely? You know?
Look, like, so we've been working remotely from a day one. It's been 5 years. We actually started with our technical staff having we called it a data surf villa in Bali. And this is where our technical team used to be, because we often work, remotely, because the solutions are based in cloud, and it's been really up and coming. And so despite the fact we had all those communication platforms and structures, how we exchange information within the organization as well with our clients, we were a little bit surprised by how hard it hit that we only had digital online connections. I felt like, despite the fact we were ready, the first months or two was in a way easy because for us it was nothing new. But the interactions, physical, were so much missing. And so we started to do more one-on-one meetings. We started to do a little bit more all-hands sessions explaining what we do, because people felt a little bit maybe more vulnerable in their positions, not knowing what is happening. There were no coffee chats anymore, by the coffee machines in the, co-working space, or, a cafe. So this was very interesting to see that there was a certain psychological aspect that has changed. My two co-founders are now in Europe, and I miss them dearly. I miss a different type of interactions with them that is not scheduled. It's this unscheduled ideation and, talk that I miss. But what we do, we, set up a different communication, not to miss the opportunities for innovation. And I think the ideal setup, I think, will be the hybrid setup, because people will miss the interactions. I saw in your slides that it was only 4% of the workforce that has been working completely 100% from home. And for us, despite the fact everyone who works for Mayro can work 100% from home, but we tend to meet 1 or 2 times a week in the office to actually have this unplanned interaction. And that is very important. And I wonder, for you guys, in a consulting, how does it work with your clients? How does it work with the new clients' relations which you need to build? Is it different online and offline?
Yes, I think because I've been working with the Japan market, I guess almost in the last few months, and Japan they are very well known for that face-to-face meeting, having those dinner sessions where they close sales and everything else, the interaction with the client is very important to build that relationship. And now that we are actually having to work from home, there is a lot of challenges, but we've adapted by communicating, being on a phone call with them, when there's possibility, then maybe we'll plan for a safe meetup or things like that. But it's so far we do have create very interesting labs for them, where they can actually come in, they can think about the future of work, think about brainstorm of the problems that they have as well. Yeah, but talking about motivation, I just want to highlight one, I think there's one point that is in our Deloitte Trends report as well. If you haven't downloaded, please download it as well, where we talk about having that sense of belonging is actually very important for our teams, and creating that connection as well between the individuals too as well. So that is actually one of the key things for us to actually help to sustain the motivation, because even though if you look at the map earlier on, even though the data shows that everything productivity is going up right now, technically speaking, after a while, we feel that there might be tapering down. It might be going down significantly because people are also very tired. I think what motivated that increase in productivity was the fear. So right now we need to move from the fear mindset to that, the belonging mindset, and thinking that this working from home or working remotely, new ways of working is going to actually stay as well. So we, as practitioners of human capital, we need to think about that as well. Even managers, leaders, this question goes all the way up to the top as well. So I guess there's actually there's actually a lot more questions right now. So how do we continually stay relevant beyond COVID-19? And to what extent do you think remote learning helps in building skills that is required by the industry? What do you think?
Look, I think we should never stop learning,
Yeah.
COVID or no COVID. Look, I see it. I actually left the corporate world, well, in my mid 40s. And then I went into startup world, which is in MarTech and EdTech, which is extremely fast moving world with a lot of new technologies happening, basically announcement on daily basis. And I almost feel like I do not have time to learn it all. But I think what we do in our company is we do have one specific channel in our Slack channel, which is called Sharing Education and News. And when someone reads something that is really important for our line of work, we share it there. And then we say like, read this, and this is specifically for tech people or salespeople or consultants. And this is a great way to always keep, up to date with what is happening. But I think as well, coming back to the data and digital literacy, I think it's important to look at things like how we use technology at work, and how do we use it more effectively. And it doesn't mean that everyone needs to be, learning coding. When we talk about data literacy, I think people think so, but it's not that way. But it's about understanding the basics. It's about understanding what data is, how do you move it? How do you transform it? How do you store it? Why cloud is so much cheaper than, storing data on premise. That's why computing power is cheap. That's why we all talk about the new buzzword, artificial intelligence, because, it's affordable now. So understanding the basics so that at least everyone can join the discussion, which is getting more and more, technology oriented when we are talking about new trends and staying relevant. And, there is a completely new generation growing up that has this digital native upbringing. And I think everyone who is 35 plus should be thinking about that and feeling, okay, so what do I need to learn now to be relevant to this new generation and to my job in 5-10 years? And I think it's really learning what is relevant for your job, and keep the curiosity. That was as well one of the words which you had there. Keep the curiosity and define your meaning for your work. I think that's important, because then it's going to be much easier. Then it's not going to be a must, but it's going to be, a great to learn.
Mm, correct. I agree. So, yes, I believe lifelong learning is very important. And like even our data suggested that if 50% of the employees, if they don't get that opportunity to learn, they are willing to actually jump to a different organization. So as an organization, we also must think about how we, continuously help to upgrade, help to upskill this workforce as well, so as to retain them. And also at the same time, I guess, bring them those, I guess that what Schneider had done was they open up what internal projects to their internal employees and helping them to actually upgrade the skills, also, internally, while these people build up their skills, they learn something new. That is actually very an interesting way of, how our employees can actually engage their staff in terms of the upgrade, in development as well. Okay, so I think we have a few more minutes, and I think we can go to the next question. How do we foster more human connectivity and true human connection with even more tech when inevitably is already evident our tech keeps us humans more disconnected than ever? Example, at dinner table, mom, dad staring at handphones, etc. So how would you actually have that true human connection with all these techs that are flying around? Yeah.
I wish I had the answer. Sometimes when I see people with the phones in their hands and you want to share something with them physically, well, tell me, how do you guys actually advise organizations to balance this? Because what I believe, there needs to be balance and harmony, right? It cannot be today it has to be a combination of technology and human connection. So,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for that. You know, I have a family in Europe. I'm happy I can actually connect with them, you know, on daily basis. But how is it for organizations? What is the advice you guys are giving?
Well, I mean that I wouldn't say for all organizations. I guess we can't stop that proliferation of technology in our daily lives anyway, right? So what we need to do is, obviously, for myself, I do have like a time where I'm actually like try to disconnect, etc. But I think what we try to tell our clients is that the technology is actually meant to help you like supercharge your team. It's not meant to take over your team's
Yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah, but it's also about having that governance, the trust, everything, a framework available for all these people, so that they know that they are not at a disadvantage if they happen to miss like a one message or a one email. They happen to like go take a toilet break because they're supposed to be on the desk all the time. That it has to be also at the same time that is about trust as well, having the trust in your employees to do the right thing, and also like trusting them to be able to stop work, and empowering them to stop work when they need to stop work, and and not pushing a lot of them as well, because there is sort of like a mental fatigue also that might happen also. Yeah.
absolutely. I
Yeah,
think this
correct.
situation we are in, it actually tests company values and company culture.
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
you can see today whether it's true or it's just a vision and mission statement that is drafted on a whiteboard. And I think we saw this throughout the last few months, where we basically said to our people, you can work from everywhere you want. We build the trust, fairness, open connection. We try for diversity because we believe that having a diverse team and specifically working with data and technology brings better results. So, saying all this was easy a year ago, but now it was really tested. And a few learnings which we had on this journey was, um, and they were hard learnings, I have to say, was that we had a few just newly joined junior people who joined, us in the beginning of the year. And what we found out was that in the past, what worked well was, upskill those people and teach them and support them to get on the level of skills we needed them to be. But it was much harder online. It was much harder in this 100% online mode. So what we had to reshuffle our way of hiring and focusing on a little bit more senior people, because they were much more easy to start to work immediately. So that was one thing. Second thing was the entire onboarding process. How do you onboard someone who you almost never met? And then you are supposed to, as you said, it's important to have some kind of sense of belonging. Explaining the culture and the value system, like this online. How do you do that? So we redid entire onboarding process, and we have now a set of manuals almost where we explain it, step by step. We set up interviews with everyone in the organization that is relevant for this position in the first 2 weeks, and people talk to each other. And then we as well explain the values on examples and say, this is for what we stand for, and this is how you apply it, this is how it works. And it's been really interesting to see that. I hope one of my new employees are maybe on this call, so I will ask them how it was perceived on the other side. But guided onboarding was very, very important to have, because otherwise you don't get this sense of belonging. So
Right.
that was very very interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting as well. Yeah, I think even like as in the consulting field, etc. We there when we talk about technology, sometimes the work our analysts, whatever that our analysts actually can do, can be done by technology, can be done by all the different types of technologies. But the reason that we sometimes don't do that is because it's a way for them to learn. It's like we are building the skills, etc. So like one of my key points is that doesn't mean that a job that needs to be automated needs to have artificial intelligence should be automated. Like you have to think about, like you have to find that balance between what can be automated and what should be automated, based on like just based on like the work that you are doing, etc. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So the next question is, okay, so it's more of a statement for a response. I think in thinking about the future of work, we may have to also factor in our personal lives for balance and health. Perhaps huge health and other concerns may result from a more narrow tech-driven focus. What do you think, Yana?
Yeah, I think well-being is so important. And it's so easy to just forget that, we have a private life. You know, I'm sitting in my home office, and it's kind of blends, the private and professional life. And I think it's very important. Well, for me, it was important to, even for me and my team members, to say, hey, let's stop now. Let's go running. Let's go biking. Let's just get out and do something else. And I think that you know I almost see this as an opportunity to refocus on yourself, because we have maybe a little bit more time to do that. We don't commute, we don't sit somewhere on some coffees. The life is a little bit more simpler working just from home. So it's important to look at, the routines that we are having as a people, and talk about those routines as well with the team members. So we make sure that they do the same and they don't work 24/7, which is sometimes easy to do. But maybe one reflection here is the adaptability and flexibility in times like that. I think it's important what you mentioned. We have to take this, or we are taking it as an opportunity for us as a startup. We actually went through every decision we've made in the past 6 months, and we turn it into a discussion whether this is valid. Is it still valid, whatever we, decided some time ago? And it was great exercise for us to turn the messaging, the technology, into a current situation so it stays relevant for our clients, that we talk about the situation that is out there happening right now, so that we don't stick to something that is old and not valid anymore. And I think you mentioned that we need to, have a courage, we need to move fast, we need to innovate. And I think this is a great thing to do, to really go to the basic questions about everything. Is it relevant? Is it valid? How does it actually, how is it perceived out there? And so we took this opportunity, and it was a exciting, although very tiring exercise, but I feel that we are emerging out of this with a more relevant offering than we ever had. And I think that is fantastic. Now, we can do it because we are a smaller startup without investors. So no one is telling us what to do and what to not do. But how is it in a large organizations?
It's like, yeah, I think we're quite similar in a sense. Yeah, in a way, like we need to rethink what we are doing all the time, asking that question, what really matters to us also. That's a really key and important message as well, that every one of our organization members actually know as well. So I think we're running out of time. We will need to wrap up. Consider actually okay, so right now the level 3 panelists actually has said that we will try to answer the rest of the questions in the follow-up email. And actually we kind of need to close this webinar. It's been a very interesting conversation, talking to everyone, talking to you, Yana, about this. And I really hope this has been very helpful. And thank you so much for everyone that turned up. And also thank you to the level 3 team for organizing this event. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Let me as well thanks our audience and level 3 for the invitation. I want to say one last thought at the end is how to stay purple, how to be a purple employee or purple person. I think it's important to look at your uniquenesses and how you are different to other people, and make your unique selling point out of that, because people are today and will be even more so looking for people that are different, that they bring different opinions and different experiences to the table. So this is the way to go. Embrace your differences, because that brings the very needed diversity for everyone looking for a new or updated workforce out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Durrah and Yana, for joining us. And to everybody else, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. Do follow us, and we'll see you for next events of ours. Thank you so much, and have a lovely evening.